You know what drives me absolutely crazy? It's 10:38 p.m., you're on the couch, you open your banking app like it's a slot machine, and you do that slow thumb scroll hoping the number changes if you stare hard enough. Your paycheck hit 2 days ago, but somehow your account already looks tired. Rent is coming, your car insurance is lurking, and you're doing mental math while your phone is happily charging you $9.99 here, $14.99 there, plus a delivery fee that costs more than the food. It's like trying to drive a Ferrari with a broken transmission. You can rev the engine all you want, you're not moving. And the villain isn't you're a bad person, it's the modern comfort trap. Endless scrolling, subscription creep, dopamine spending, status buying, sports betting disguised as investing, impulse shopping, speculative hype, and gaming and streaming binges. Most modern people think the first move is to start investing, but the first move is to stop living one surprise away from panic. Here's something that might shock you. 63% of adults said they could cover a $400 emergency with cash, or its equivalent in 2024. Federal Reserve 2024 63%. That means 37% couldn't. Zero. Think about that. Today, I'm going to show you the best first move if your savings is $0, the exact sequence to build your first $500 to $1,000, and why it matters more than picking the perfect investment. My name's Greek Man, and I obsess over turning financial chaos into boring stability. If you want that, subscribe and hit like, because bills don't care about vibes. In the next few minutes, we're going to cover why $0 savings hijacks your brain, then the one move that flips you out of panic mode, then the 6-step order to build your first $500 to $1,000, plus the one exception. And at the end, I'll show you the trap that wipes out progress the moment you start feeling good. Now, before we dive in, let's tell the truth about what zero savings really means. It's not just I don't have money, it's I don't have protection. You're exposed. A small surprise becomes a big crisis. A tire problem becomes a week of stress. A medical copay becomes a debt decision. That's it. And if you're here, you probably feel 3 pains constantly, even if you don't say them out loud. Pain 1 is the background anxiety, checking your balance like it's weather, feeling your stomach tighten when you open the app. Think about that for a second. Pain 2 is avoidance. You don't open certain emails, you push it off. You tell yourself you'll handle it after payday. Right there. Pain 3, the status pressure. You feel behind, so you spend to feel caught up. New phone, new shoes, nice car payment, weekend plans you can't afford. That's not confidence, that's coping with receipts. Zero. Here's where it gets interesting. Most modern people do the first moves backwards. They try to invest while they're financially fragile, or they try to budget perfectly while the leaks are still wide open. That's like arguing about paint colors while a house is on fire. Right there. Most modern people think budgeting is the solution, but budgeting without a buffer is just stress with categories. Let me put this in perspective. When you have $0 savings, you're not steering your life, you're reacting to it. Every decision is urgent, every purchase feels emotional, every small fee feels personal. Think about that for a second. Okay, so watch this. Here's the psychology mechanism, and this is the part nobody explains clearly. Scarcity mode, reactive decisions, expensive mistakes, shame, avoidance, more scarcity. That's the loop, and modern platforms love that loop because reactive people spend more. They buy relief, they buy distraction, they buy treat yourself moments, they buy anything that makes the stress go away for 10 minutes. That's it. Most modern people think their problem is motivation, but their problem is panic. Here's the crazy part. A buffer doesn't just protect your money, it protects your decisions. It gives you time to think. It turns emergencies into inconveniences. It moves you from reactive to proactive. Think about that for a second. Now, before we dive in, I'm going to say the best first move out loud, clearly. The best first move if your savings is $0 is to build a starter emergency fund fast. Not investing, not stock picking, not optimizing credit card points. A starter buffer. And no, it doesn't have to be huge. You're not trying to become a millionaire this month. You're trying to stop the bleeding. You want, life can't ruin my weak money. For most people, that's $500 to $1,000. That's it, right there. Most modern people think 500 is too small to matter, but 500 is the difference between a surprise and a spiral. Think about that. Now, before we dive in, let's do the math that feels emotional. If you save $25 a week, that's about $100 a month. That's about $1,200 a year. On paper, that looks small, but if you're currently at $0, $1,200 is a different reality. It's, I can handle stuff. It's, I don't need debt for normal life. Just like that. Here's the crazy part. The first 500 is the hardest 500 you'll ever build because you're not fighting math, you're fighting habits, you're fighting convenience, you're fighting the phone. Zero. Let me put this in perspective. Building your first buffer is like pouring the foundation of a house. Nobody brags about the foundation, it's not sexy, but without it, everything cracks later. That's analogy 1, house foundation, right there. Okay, so watch this. Here is the step-by-step sequence. 6 steps, simple. Not easy, simple. Now, I want you to notice something. The sequence matters. If you freestyle, your feelings will drive the bus, and your feelings are terrible with money. Step 1, plug the obvious leaks in 10 minutes. Open your banking app, look at the last 30 days, circle anything recurring and anything small that happens often. Subscriptions, delivery fees, app charges, impulse buys, and random oops spending. Most modern people think it's only $9.99, but 10 only $9.99 charges is a bill that steals your buffer. Cancel anything you don't use weekly, pause anything you use sometimes, keep the 1 or 2 you truly love. The goal isn't misery, the goal is control. That's it. Analogy 2. Your money is a bucket with holes. Subscriptions and convenience fees are the holes. You can pour more income in, but you still end up empty. Think about that for a second. Step 2. Split your money into 2 lanes. Here's the kicker. One checking account is chaos. You need separation, a bills account and a spending account. Bills money goes to bills first. Rent, utilities, insurance, minimum debt payments. Then whatever is left is spending. Let me put this in perspective. One mixed account is like walking around with sand in your shoes all day. You can survive, but you're irritated, distracted, and you make worse decisions. That's analogy 3, sand in shoes. Separation calms your brain. Right there. Most modern people think budgeting is restriction, but budgeting is clarity. Step 3. Automate a tiny transfer into a starter buffer savings. Okay, so watch this. Pick a number you can actually survive with. $20 a paycheck, $25 a week, $50 a week. Then automate it on payday. No debate. Most modern people think discipline is white-knuckling, but discipline is removing the debate. Here's the crazy part. If you rely on yourself to decide every week, your emotions will vote no. It was a rough week. I deserve something. I'll start next paycheck. And then it's been a year. 0. Think about that for a second. Step 4. Do a 14-day convenience reset. Now, before we dive in, this is where modern comfort habits get exposed. For 14 days, no delivery apps, no impulse Amazon buys, no quick Target run that somehow becomes $142 because you wandered around like it's a theme park. Cook simple food, make coffee at home, bring lunch sometimes. This is not forever, it's a reset. That's analogy 4, backpack full of rocks. Convenience fees are tiny rocks you keep adding, then you complain you can't move. Put the rocks down, that's it. And yes, I'm lightly roasting the modern comfort trap because it's ridiculous. You'll scroll for an hour, then pay extra fees so someone can deliver lukewarm food, then you'll say, why can't I save? Right there. Think about that. Step 5. Build the first $500 before you go aggressive on debt. Here's where it gets interesting. The internet will argue about this, but real life is real life. If you have 0 savings, every surprise expense pushes you right back into debt. So you pay debt down, then life happens, then you swipe again. You're stuck in a loop. Let me put this in perspective. A starter emergency fund is a fire extinguisher. You don't buy the extinguisher after the fire, you buy it so the next fire doesn't destroy your month. That's analogy 5, fire extinguisher, right there. Most modern people think the smartest plan is the most optimal on paper, but the smartest plan is the one that prevents relapse. Here's the crazy part. Once you have $500, you stop paying panic tax, late fees go down, rush decisions go down, anxiety spending goes down. Think about that for a second. Step 6. After $500, split your extra money. Buffer plus debt. Okay, so watch this. Once you hit $500, keep building toward $1,000 while you start paying extra on high-interest debt. A simple split works. Half your extra money to savings, half to extra debt payments. And the reason is simple. Credit card debt is expensive. The average credit card balance was $6,730 as of Q3 2024. Experian 2024, $6,730. That's not a little float, that's real weight. Zero. And interest rates have been brutal. Commercial bank credit card interest rates were 20.97% in November 2025. Fred 2025, 20.97%. That is not a small problem, that's a leak with a jet engine. Think about that for a second. Now, before we dive in, I promised one plot twist. Here's the one exception. If you are in active crisis, behind on rent, facing shutoffs, food insecurity, eviction risk, your first move is stabilization, not the $500 buffer. Call the utility company, ask for a payment plan, prioritize keeping housing and basics stable, because you can't build savings while your house is actively on fire. That's analogy 6, house on fire/termites. If termites are eating the wood, you don't buy new furniture, you stop the termites right there. Most people think saving always comes first, but stability sometimes comes first. Now, before we dive in, we need the warning/rant, because this is where people self-sabotage the moment they start winning. Here's the crazy part. The second you save $300, your brain tries to celebrate like you just got a raise from the universe. You feel proud, good, and then you confuse pride with permission. You go, "We're back," and "we're back" becomes a purchase. A weekend trip, a new gadget, upgraded clothes, new subscriptions, and the big one, a new monthly payment. Car payment, bigger rent, lifestyle upgrade, the stuff that makes you feel powerful for 5 minutes and fragile for 5 years. Zero. Most modern people think the reward for progress is spending, but the reward for progress is momentum. Think about that for a second. Now, I want you to notice something. The modern world is built to make spending frictionless and saving annoying. One-tap checkout, saved cards, shopping notifications, limited time. Meanwhile, canceling a subscription feels like an escape room. So you have to fight with friction. Delete delivery apps for 30 days. Remove your card from one-tap checkout. Turn off shopping notifications. Unsubscribe from retail emails. Make impulse spending slightly harder. That's analogy 7, slot machine. Your phone is a slot machine that pays in distraction and charges in dollars. Stop pulling the lever every time you feel bored. That's it, just like that. Most modern people think willpower is the answer, but environment is the answer. Let me put this in perspective. If your plan requires you to be a perfect robot in a world engineered to distract you, you will lose. Build a plan that assumes you're human. Think about that for a second. Now, before we dive in, let's talk outcomes, because this is what you actually get. Outcome 1, peace, not rich, peace. A surprise bill becomes annoying, not catastrophic. Outcome 2, control. Bills get handled on purpose, you stop guessing. Outcome 3, you become investable. Later, you can invest without constantly pulling money back out because life happened. Right there. Most modern people think investing creates calm, but calm creates investing. Okay, so watch this. Recap time, 1 breath. Plug the leaks, split bills and spending, automate a tiny starter transfer, do 14 days with no convenience spending, build $500 first, then split between building to $1,000 and paying extra on high-interest debt, while refusing to celebrate progress by signing up for a new monthly payment. That's it, right there. Think about that. Now, before we dive in, the close. If your savings is $0, you don't need a motivational speech. You need a buffer. You need breathing room. You need to stop treating your future for small hits of comfort. The bar is low, be slightly above average in multiple areas and you win. And here's the Stoic truth. Discipline is freedom, not punishment. It's not you suffering, it's you choosing stability over chaos. Start with the buffer, build the space, then build the life.